And welcome back to Sports the Nemo Way, the Allen Iverson edition. And today, we have a special guest on this episode. Mr. Jared Schaller joins us today, a huge Allen Iverson fan, so I couldn't leave him out of this episode. Used to have many arguments when we were children about Allen Iverson and Tracy McGrady. Anyway, the Allen Iverson, the 6 foot, 165-pound shooting guard, is a 0-time champ, 1-time MVP. He's an 11-time All-Star, 7-time All-NBA, playing 14 years in the league after being the number 1 overall pick, and he is a Hall of Famer with career averages of 26, 3, and 6 on 42% shooting. And I will now kick it to Ray, who has AI ranked the highest at 17 overall and 3rd on his shooting guard list. Ray, take it away, bud.
All right. The speed, the quickness, the crossover. He could score on just about anyone, and with 4 scoring titles, he proved that. He came into the league and made a stop, playing a new style of game that no one was used to. Very exciting player, being 6 foot 3 inches shorter than Curry. Somehow he was a shooting guard. Crazy, I know, but I guess they figured out that when you don't really distribute and just score, you're really not a point guard. But let's not keep dwelling on these positions. Let's just focus on skill set. He could score on anyone, like I already said, but let's talk about the crossover. It was almost like watching a magic trick. Now you see me, now you don't. And if breaking ankles wasn't just a term for making you look like a bitch, he would have put at least 100 guys in the hospital. And we can talk about his rap career or finger bands or practice. You want to talk practice? But that's off the court shit is done. What is impressive is what he did on the court. And that's why he's on my top 50.
All right. Thanks, Ray. Nice little opening statement there. Very colorful. All right. That'll kick us to Drew, who has him 21 overall and 5th on his shooting guard list. Take it away, Drew.
Well, with how short Allen Iverson, we all know he's not 6 foot. We talked about that off air. And so for him to be able to do all the scoring that he did and still big guy standing in the paint most of the time, I would say that's pretty impressive, averaging 26 points for your career. He got MVP. I think one of the most impressive things was him carrying probably the Sixers to the finals that year. Obviously, they lost, but who's the second best player on the team, like Mutombo or
Dikembe Mutombo?
Yeah. So I mean, I thought that was pretty impressive.
Who averaged 11 points in the finals.
So yeah, I thought that was pretty impressive.
All right, thanks, Drew. And that will lead us to Uncle Doug, who has him 24th overall and 4th on his shooting guard list.
Yeah, AI, I mean, without getting into the exact numbers, he's ranked pretty high in points. His average is way up there. One thing that I didn't realize when I started doing all this research was how high he is on steals. He was a 3-time steal champ, along with being a 4-time scoring champ. He was fun to watch, and he the thing that you think of first might be the rant about practice, but whether he practiced or not, the man could play, and so I think he definitely deserves to be up there on the list.
All right, well that leads us to Mr. Schaller, who does not have him officially ranked because he has not done a top 50 like the rest of us, but he is going to have him much higher on his list than Wade and I, so we just slotted him in here. So, Schaller, what's your opening statement on AI?
I think he's one of the most controversial players, and people have a lot of different opinions about him based on all aspects. But when it came down to just straight hooping, the guy got it done with very little and did it with probably some of the biggest heart and grit moments that you can see out of a basketball player. And it's very hard nowadays to see someone who had that much passion and will to overcome big odds all the time. You don't see that anymore.
All right. That'll lead us to me, who has him ranked 42nd overall and 8th on his shooting guard list. I'll keep it short and sweet with my opening statement. AI is one of 8 players to average 25 or more for 10 straight seasons. He also has the second highest playoff points per game ever at 29.7. And in his career in Philadelphia, only played with 2 All-Stars, Theo Ratliff and Dikembe Mutombo. So that is my opening statement. And that'll lead us to Wade, who is, if you haven't guessed it already, is the one of us that left AI off his list. And you've heard in other episodes, mainly the Harden episode, Wade's dislike for AI. So I'll turn it over to Wade for his opening statement on AI.
All right. Wrote a couple notes.
That's rare for you.
Yeah, first time I wrote notes down.
He's opening up his notebook for the first time.
Yes, it's actually
You
a workout notebook that says workout book on it.
Workout book.
But it has some Allen Iverson.
Didn't
information on it.
you have an envelope one day with things written on
Was
it?
that the bank
wrote,
statement?
I wrote a bunch of math. Wrote down a bunch of math on Harden and AI
Okay.
on an envilope on a bank statement.
So when AI gets brought up,
Yeah.
He's passionate about AI. So
So
when
when
he writes stuff
I
out.
only write shit down with Allen Iverson. No, I think I wrote shit down with Kawhi Leonard too. But that's all right. All right. After all that, I did actually grow up watching Allen Iverson, unlike a lot of these guys. When I first started watching basketball, the NBA was the superstars were Iverson, Kobe, Shaq, Duncan, Garnett, probably VC, T-Mac. Those were the big dogs. So I did watch him play. I mean, a lot of the stuff like Schaller said and a couple of other guys, it's true. He had a phenomenal crossover. He played hard. He actually put a ton of minutes. I think he averaged like 41 minutes per game for his career, which for a small guy is impressive.
Top 4 all time.
Oh, that's cool. And then, lost train of thought. He was probably, for at least a while, the most popular player in the NBA. When I was younger, everyone loved Allen Iverson. Everyone had Allen Iverson jerseys, shoes, finger bands. Yeah, some people credit him for bringing what you would probably call it the hip-hop culture into the NBA. Tattoos and cornrows and all that. I don't think David Stern liked it, but Allen Iverson did anyway. But then when you start to compare him with top 50 players, it gets a little dicey. How do I word this? If you do a little more than just stare at his points per game average and look how we got there, it's not very pretty. He kind of overall comes out at times looking like a inefficient ball hog that was usually the worst defender on his team, that didn't get along with his teammates or coaches, refused to take lesser roles for the benefit of the team later in his career, and had 1 year of team success. And that, well, I just didn't like it, so I didn't put it on my list, quite frankly. For a couple examples, just so you're not just sitting there wondering what I'm talking about. Alex.
Yes.
Why didn't you like Russell Westbrook?
Well, his lack of success, the ball hog,
Yes.
some things you just said.
High
yeah.
turnover rate, high usage rate,
Turnover rate, high usage rate, yeah.
all apply to Allen Iverson.
Yes.
They're literally the same exact player almost. Their percentages are almost identical. Both have led the league in turnovers multiple times. Both are high volume scorers, except one's the all-time leader in triple doubles and the other one has 1. So he's Russell Westbrook without triple doubles. If you want to argue, Russell Westbrook stat hunts. Sure, you want to say that, but when he gets a triple double, his team wins 74% of the time. So when he's stat hunting, his team wins. So there's something there.
Well, I guess I don't disagree with anything you just said, but I guess my rebuttal would be is that they play 2 different positions, and I have a different set of responsibilities for shooting guards and point guards, and I think I've said in past episodes that I thought the shooting guard position was the weakest position to have. I think Russell Westbrook. I don't think I've ever said this on air, but I think Russell Westbrook should have been a 2 guard
I agree.
for his entire career.
I agree.
He had no business playing the point guard, I don't think. But I guess that's a conversation for another
Well,
time.
I just compared them because they're both shooting guards and point guards' body and have
Yeah.
the ball nonstop in their hands.
Right.
So they're very comparable. Then I have a couple kind of funny ones that I just found on the internet that I thought were quite funny. Do you know the difference between Allen Iverson and Monte Ellis?
I don't.
Monte Ellis is better from the field. Do you know the difference between Allen Iverson and Gilbert Arenas?
I'm going to say field goal percentage.
Gilbert Arenas can hit a three-pointer. I mean, there's lots of players that when they shoot enough can do what Allen Iverson did. Now, these players didn't have the longevity of Iverson. They had shorter peaks. Arenas ended up having some sort of knee problem or something, I think, but he had like a 3-year stint that was similar to Allen Iverson's. Monte Ellis wasn't as good as Allen Iverson. That was just kind of a funny one.
Yeah, as I said, there's a 9-point difference between their career.
But at
points
their
per
peak
game.
level, he averaged over 25 points per game. They have
Yeah.
similar rebounding numbers, similar assist numbers, similar percentages outside of field goal percentage. And he's
So
got-
your argument of field goal percentage, and you're comparing a lot of people basically in the post hand check era, which basically means you can't touch anybody when they drive. Allen Iverson's prime almost all was in the hand check era.
I don't know if that's true. What year?
Okay, so let's do this. In his 5 seasons after the hand check era, he shot 45%, 46, 46, 48, and 44, which
Okay.
is basically as good as James Harden. Once he got in after the hand check era,
What year was the hand check done?
04-05 was the first season the
Was it
hand
that
hand check was eliminated. Everybody forgets that he had to play through more contact at 5'10", 165 pounds than anybody in today's have to deal with.
I mean, yeah, he's short, but in the long run, that doesn't really mean a goddamn thing. That doesn't really mean
Correct,
anything.
but he's once he got after it, he has just as good numbers efficiency wise as your players that you're talking about. Your players just get to do whatever they want because no one can touch them.
No one can touch him. Okay, in the past 30 years of basketball, well into the hand check era, there are, I don't remember the exact number, well over 100 players that have played at least 30,000 minutes in the NBA. So people that had good long careers. Guess who's second to last in overall efficiency level? Allen Iverson. He only beats one player in almost 30 years of basketball in overall efficiency. So I think there is a little bit to what I'm saying.
Well,
His overall efficiency level is not any good.
what I this is literally a question. What is an overall efficiency level? I don't know what that is.
Like you can take they either do like true shooting percentage or
Right,
effective
right.
field goal percentage, where it takes just a lot of that stuff into one percentage.
I mean, I know what true shooting percentage is. I mean, I know what that is.
The
Yeah.
true shooting percentage, they take in it's like field goals made, field goals attempted, your regular stats plus like turnovers, efficiency level, stuff like that. Wait, no, I'm thinking about win shares.
You're like mixing like 4 stats in one.
That's what a lot of this stuff is. It's mixing
Yeah,
a lot of the
but-
percentage. I was talking about win shares on that
Yeah.
one, not true shooting percentage. My bad. I lost my train of thought now. Oh, true shooting percentage is a combination of your free throw, 3-point, and field goal
Yes,
percentage.
It's
Yes.
the 3 together.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Sorry, I was talking about win shares on that last one when I started going.
So
over
are
other
you?
stuff.
You're saying he has the lowest win shares? Is what you're saying?
No, his
Or is-
overall.
Which one are you? I guess I'm just lost on which one you're saying.
His efficiency, his overall efficiency level, when taken into account over all the players that have done 30,000 minutes over the past 30 years, he's second to last, only beating Jerry Stackhouse in overall efficiency.
Jerry Stackhouse.
Yes, it was actually his teammate at one point. That was a very
Yes.
inefficient backcourt.
And they actually got in a big brawl in the in the stadium one time, and that's why they had to ship Stackhouse out of Philly because
Yeah.
they're like
I think their entourages got into fights.
like their entourages and them got in a big old brawl, and they had to decide which one to keep. I read an article on it doing this research.
Iverson was younger, so they kept the younger one. Basically, that's what happened.
Stackhouse was he had a weird career, kind of.
He did because 2 seasons in a row in Detroit, he was averaging 30 points a game.
I know, yeah, he led
Yeah.
the league in scoring.
Yeah,
one
yeah,
year.
he was a
Like
scoring champ.
29.
He could fill it up.
And then his career just went downhill pretty rapidly. He stuck around. He was on the bench for guys, but I don't know how do you go from being back-to-back 30 points a game to bench player that barely plays 3 seasons later? I mean,
Did he have knee trouble?
I was
I
gonna
think he
say,
had knee trouble.
was there an injury or
Yeah,
I don't know what happened there. because I liked Stackhouse coming out of college. I was like, oh, Stackhouse is going to be a beast. And he started off well. It just went downhill.
Wasn't he one of those guys who's really good at driving to the basket but couldn't shoot?
Sounds right.
Maybe.
I really have
about Jerry Stackhouse.
a memory of him shooting a lot of threes, but that wasn't, again, a huge time for it. Not like today where.
Yeah.
Is that the end of your...
Yeah, someone else can talk for a little bit.
Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and say some more things. I have obviously I have AI on my list, but I have him the lowest of us that have put him on our list. So we have other guys on our list like Gervin and Dantley and Dominique and T-Mac and Vince and Drexler and Reggie and Ray Allen. I may have forgotten a couple that were big-time scorers but didn't have a lot of team success. But AI also falls into that category. But he's the only one of them with an MVP. He has the highest points per game, assists per game, and steals per game of any of them. He has 4 scoring titles, which is the same amount as Gervin and more than T-Mac and Dantley, who each have 2. Dominique has 1, and the rest of them have 0. He is tied with Gervin and T-Mac and Dominique for all NBAs, and more than the rest of those guys. And I know it's been brought up earlier, but it was hella impressive the way he drugged that Sixers team to a finals. I don't think there's any way around it. As I think maybe not Drew, but the rest of us all remember watching that. That was a crazy.
I've watched the
crazy
championship
year.
video a couple times. They were the only one to beat the Lakers that year too. Not
The
series.
Lakers, yeah,
in
the
the
Lakers,
playoffs.
In the playoffs, the only
the
one that
Lakers
beat them.
swept
Yeah.
every team en route to the finals.
And he scored like 48 in the
Game one, he scored 48 and had like almost 10
Yeah,
assists.
went to overtime. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
And then Tyrone Lue decided to play defense for us this series. I
Yeah.
don't know what the hell.
Did he step over Tyronn Lue?
Yes, he
Yeah,
did.
he
Yeah,
did.
the famous step over.
And then
He's the only-
AI complained to the media after Game 2, I think it was, about Tyrone Lue putting his hands on him too much, and Tyrone Lue told AI to hit the weights.
Yeah, Tyronn Lue's the only one like as short as. Yeah, that's why Phil Jackson put him in
Did we
the
ever
Guardian.
really hear from Tyronn Lue after that?
I mean,
As a
not
coach.
that was- that's right, yeah.
Coach, that's why he started
As a
coaching.
player, yeah,
As a
Coach
player, that's
LeBron,
his-
yeah. But to end my little charade here, but I also have him at 42 and 8, quite a ways down my list past the rest of you guys. And mainly that's because of the things Wade's talking about. His bad attitude, his not getting along with coaches and teammates, his poor efficiency. Personally, I think AI belongs on the list because of his accomplishments and his size and durability. But I think some of his flaws throw him down my list of ways. That's pretty much what I wanted to say. I don't know if anybody else wants to pick up where I left off.
Yeah, I got a couple facts about him. One, he's one of 3 players in NBA history to actually average 26 and 6 assists. The only other 2 are LeBron and Jerry West. It's pretty elite company. He's top 4 in all time in minutes per game. That's pretty durable to be playing, averaging 40 minutes a game, and that is actually basically not even heard of anymore. The only people that actually played that was people back in the 60s and 70s, because everybody in front of him was Wilt, Russell, and Oscar Robinson.
The 60s, yeah.
Yeah, a long time ago. Points per game in the playoffs, he's right. He's 4 points behind Michael, but he's in second place. Also, he averaged almost 45 minutes a game in the playoffs when he played, which is basically playing all but 3 minutes in the playoffs. So they basically just didn't take him off the floor. He's top 10 in points per game in the regular season all time. He's at number 7 at 26.5. During Michael Jordan's tenure, he faced 983 different players. He outscored 982 of them. The only one he did not outscore is Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson bested him 27 points. Jordan only averaged 24. As a rookie, he's the only person to ever score 40 points in 5 straight games, which is another pretty good feat. And this can be debatable whether usage rates are good or bad, but he's the second all-time in usage rate. I think some people look at usage rate as not good. Some people look at it as better. So I could say other points down when you start looking at whether his team won or not. When he was used and shot more than 25 points, I think they were winning like 59% of the time. So, and it was lower when he shot less than 25 times. And the last thing I kind of want to bring up is just some great defensive teams or player. So Greg Popovich's defense against him, he averaged 28 points, 5 assists on 45% shooting against Greg Popovich. I think that says something about his offensive prowess, as well as facing Gary Payton, which you guys have had a show about him, about how they call him the Glove. Well, the Glove gave up 28 points per game on 45% shooting and 6 assists. So the guy is an offensive juggernaut.
All right. Yeah, those are some interesting facts, Schaller. I didn't know all that. I mean, I had a couple of interesting facts over here, but I didn't come up with all that. That was great. By the way, I did realize that earlier when I said he's one of 8 players to average 25 for 10 straight seasons, I didn't name off who the other guys were. The other guys that have done that are MJ, Shaq, LeBron, the Mailman, West, Dominique, and Durant.
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. What did you say? That feat you said?
Oh, that he's one of 8 players to average 25 or more for 10 straight seasons.
Oh.
And I just named the other 7 guys so we knew who they were. We've heard Wade and Jared go back and forth quite a bit. I've talked a decent amount. But the guy that has him ranked the highest has been relatively quiet. What do you got to say, Ray?
Well, I think the reason I got him so high is just the way he impacted the game in a certain duration that when he entered the league. The way he just kind of took over the NBA. I mean, whether you want to, say yay or nay to it, he was kind of like the main star for a long time. And he kind of proved that when he took him to the finals in, what year was it?
01.
01.
I think it was 01, yeah.
And I think he, made a stamp on the league with that finals appearance. And I think that's why he's on my list so high, because of the impact of what he brought to the game. And I think that's really just it. Just the impact.
All right, so Ray, you have him at 3 on your shooting guard list. I assume Mike and Kobe are 1 and 2.
Shit, I don't know. Who's got my paper?
Doesn't everybody have those 2, the first 2?
I know everybody has Mike. I don't.
Yeah.
I think he has Kobe.
If you don't, you messed up.
Yeah. It's Kobe.
Yeah.
It's Kobe.
It's
Okay.
Kobe. So you have Mike and Kobe 1 and 2.
And then AI is like right after. Like he has at Kobe at 16, then he has AI at 17.
Okay. So this is the interesting thing I just come up with off the top of my head. So Ray, you have him at 3.
Right.
And you have your 2 shooting guards 16 and 17, like Kobe and AI 16 and 17, and Mike's number 1, correct?
Right.
But Drew has him 5th on his shooting guard list, but he rattles off his shooting guards like in successsion in the top 10. Like they're like boom, 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 boom. I'm pretty sure it's like Mike, Kobe, Jerry West, somebody all like in the top 10, and then AI's next, I believe.
Yeah, I have Kobe and Jerry at 6 and 7, and then I have Dwayne Wade at 20, and then AI at 21.
Okay, all right.
Well, if you look at my top 10, I think I have at least 4 centers that go like in at least top 6.
I'm center heavy at the top too.
Yeah, he has 4 centers in a row: Russell, Chamberlain, Jabbar, Olajuwon. 5 through 8 there.
Yeah. Well, I guess my question to the two of you is, what? Or I guess to Drew. I'll go to Drew first. Why the rapid succession of shooting guards?
I don't know. I guess that's just the way they felt when I was doing. I don't know.
I mean, I'm not saying right or wrong.
I
don't know. I said it earlier that I thought shooting guard was the weakest position of all of them. I mean, obviously we all like Mike and Kobe, but I mean, and then you're got half your point guard list in the top 20. So shooting guard list. I'm sorry.
Those two are kind of hybrid though, so they could have tweaked up to the shooting forward position if they wanted to. Like they kind of did more things than what normal shooting guards in that era did.
You talking about Mike and Kobe?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Not Allen. Hell, he did one thing and he shot the ball 30 times.
Okay, I'm gonna ask Wade a question.
Okay,
Quick.
go for it.
We're gonna play our favorite game, the what if game.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Wade, how would it affect you if AI would have beat the Lakers in 0-1?
I mean, if you won a championship, he'd probably be on my list. Yeah. Because, I mean, the bottom of everyone's list is usually people that
Yeah.
don't win championships. So, yeah.
How about you, Alex? How high would he move up on yours if he?
I mean, like you and me, sorry. You and me were the Harden guys, right?
Yeah. We're,
Like, that's Harden's big weakness is
Right
the
now, he doesn't have-
playoff success in that. So, obviously,
Yeah.
you'd have to probably put him above Harden at least.
I mean, obviously, winning a championship would help him. It would move up. But winning that particular championship would be killer impressive because essentially, he was outmanned and outgunned, and if he would have overcome that juggernaut of a team, because was that the second team or was that
it's the second one.
It was the second
'Cause
one.
they-
Yeah. So they were the third team. I thought was a little weaker. I thought they had lost too much. The third Lakers team.
Yeah.
I mean, but those first two teams were beastly, and Shaq was just essentially unstoppable.
Oh, wow.
Dikembe Mutombo won Defensive Player of the Year that year, and Shaq destroyed him in the finals.
Oh, yeah.
Like just destroyed
a
him.
little too skinny for
Yeah,
Shaq.
Mutombo's a little skinny.
Yeah.
A little too skinny.
Not nearly enough weight to stop Shaq.
No.
I've never seen so many just one dribble dunks in my life
It was-
from Shaq.
And then they would bring goofy ass Todd McCullough off the bench to relieve
Didn't they have,
Mutombo.
a McGregor guy?
Yeah, McGregor. Oh, I have that down there. So, I'm going to throw out some notable teammates of Allen Iverson. And you're going to see why he took 30 shots a game, because McGregor wasn't going to take 5.
McGregor. Wasn't he like a big bald white guy?
He's the big ball one.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
I have him at 8. I'm not 100% sure who I have right in front of him for my shooting guard list. But I would say he'd move up a couple spots probably. Not knowing exactly who's in front of him.
Championships are usually the big bugaboo. Like,
Right,
That's
right.
that usually.
He would get
all
finals.
these guys are good.
He'd get a finals MVP, obviously.
Well, yeah, he
I
would
don't
want
think they're
finals
going to give it
MVP
to Aaron McKee.
or Mutombo.
Yeah. So.
Not when you're giving up 35 and 15 to Shaq
Well,
every night.
they gave it to Iguodala when LeBron was scoring 30.
Yeah, we talked about that probably too much already.
Yeah, that's true.
That was actually
That's
good.
true.
That was actually a good spot. to bring
Iguodala
up,
was
though, Wade.
actually part of his team, Sixers team, the last year Iverson was in Philadelphia.
Yeah. Iggy.
He was a
and-
rookie.
Yeah, Iggy and him played together, and then he left Iggy to be the best man on the team for a few years.
Well, yeah, because he played 15 games, and then that's when he got traded. So he only got to play 15 games with him.
Speaking of that trade, I know in the Curry episode, during the Curry Dame comparison we did, we talked about how playing with good teammates helps you shoot better because you get better shots, you get more, you're a lot of times you're more efficient. And I had a couple of stats that I found that got during my research for this episode. I was actually watching an Allen Iverson YouTube video that these things came up, that the 3 most efficient shooting years of Kevin Durant's career were when he played for the Warriors. When he was, playing with other superstars that weren't Russell Westbrook. But the other thing is Allen Iverson in his 3 years in Denver when he played with Melo were the 3 highest field goal percentage years of his career. And over those 3 years, he shot 45 and change from
He
the
had
field.
One year he's 48. Like, he almost shot 50% from the floor because Melo took attention. So then he actually got mid-range jumpers that weren't fading away from, like he's laying on the ground trying to get it off.
I don't know exactly where you want to go with that, but I just thought that was interesting when he played with another star. He became more efficient.
I mean, yeah, I basically, let's take Iverson, Kobe, Jordan, Wade, Clyde Drexler. Let's look at these stats. Iverson averaged 29, 6.3 assists, 3.7 rebounds on 42% shooting. Bryant averaged 28, 5 assists, 5 rebounds on 46% shooting. Then there's Jordan, who's almost 31 points per game, only 5 assists, 6 rebounds, and 50% shooting. And then Dwayne Wade's 25, 6, 5, and 49. And Drexler was 22, 6, 6, and 48. But let's look at this. Dwayne Wade had LeBron James in his peak, along with Shaq for part of it, and Chris Bosh. So that's a lot. That's a lot of help. Hall of Fame help. Then Jordan had Pippen, Rodman, Kukoc, Kerr, great, and one of the greatest teams of all time. Kobe had Shaq, Powell. I mean, Kobe had great teams in his prime as well. And then Clyde the Glide, he had Olajuwon, Clifford Robinson, Terry Porter. Then Iverson had Aaron McKee, Eric Snow, Matt Geiger.
Matt Geiger.
he had Dikembe Mutombo for 1.5 years, but that's far from an offensive player to help you.
Right.
He did have Tony Kukoc, but that's towards the end of his career. He had Keith Van Horn, and then Chris Webber. But in Chris Webber's 2 seasons with him, he shot 38% and 43%, and he was taking 20 shots a game.
Was that Weber?
Chris Webber.
Yeah, that was post knee blown out his knee.
He just wasn't the same player, and they kind of clashed a little bit, and that is always a downfall of Iverson. He was a very passionate player, but he was sometimes hard to get along with because he was such a gritty person. Like, he just wanted to win.
AI was clearly hard to get along with, but Weber had his problems getting along with people over his career too.
Yeah, so putting 2 together probably wasn't the smartest idea. But I thought that was interesting. Like, if you look at his numbers, he shot 42%, but that's a good idea of why he shot 42%. It's all on him. He is playing hero ball because he had to play hero ball.
I think it's a fair argument to make. I just looked at the Kobe stuff earlier. Kobe stats, I mean.
Yep.
And Kobe gets less efficient after the Shaq trade. After Shaq leaves, Kobe's percentages go down. And I mean, I'm sure the same could be said for Penny and D Wade, because you just get, like, you're getting Shaq's an automatic double team.
Yep.
You know, I mean, guys get open shots when Shaq's around. I mean, you can say the same thing for I'm sure Jabbar or even LeBron is, he gets double. Sorry, Wade.
Yeah,
I kicked Wade there. Guys that draw double teams, especially in the post, get guys looks, especially perimeter players.
I also like to note, look at the decline of the 76ers franchise after Iverson left. Just think about it. For 12 years, they were basically the bottom dweller of the whole Eastern Conference.
I think, I came across this a lot during looking up stuff. Even when the Sixers have had superstars, they've been very poorly run for some reason. Barkley has nothing nice to say about the 76ers.
Mm-hmm.
He says they were run by idiots when he was there. That's why he demanded a trade and ended up in Phoenix, is because the 76ers couldn't get out of their own way. And he named 3 trades they made. Like, they traded Brad Doherty. They had Brad Doherty or something, or the draft rights to Brad Doherty or something, and they traded him for some scrubs. And they I don't know. Anyway, they were, and he talked about how badly run of a franchise they were, AI comes in. They clashed with AI his whole time there. And then, like you said, they were a joke for a long time. Part of it was on purpose. They lost on purpose for a long time.
Well, I mean, that was in the mid, I guess, 2010s. They were tanking just to accumulate a bunch of draft picks.
Yeah.
But right after Iverson, they were trying to get back to being good again, and they could never figure it out. And even when Iverson was there and he wasn't on the floor, I think the percentage is they win 34% of the time if he wasn't on the floor, which is basically a bottom dweller as it is. So one player was basically lifting that whole team. And the only other person that's comparable as that is LeBron in Cleveland, who did the same exact thing. I think he's winning 33, they were winning 33% of the time. That's how much one player had influence over a team. I think that means something when a player has that much effectiveness. Even if he's taking 30 shots a game and not being the most efficient, somehow he's still winning ball games and getting you to the playoffs.
I have a question for you, Schaller. You just brought up AI and LeBron and how much they won when they're not on the floor. Do you think that's all on them, or do you think that's how the team was built around them?
I think that's a little bit of both. One, I think the organizations put the pressure on that star to perform and do that stuff. And some of it might be the fact that those guys don't know what to do when that player isn't on the floor because everything's built around that player, which is also how the organization is ran. It's not that player's fault.
Well, the reason I asked was I don't remember the ins and outs of team building for the Sixers when we were kids. That's not something we paid attention to very much. But I do. I mean, it's obvious that the one year they had success, they filled their team full of defense-first players. Mutombo, Tyrone Hill, George Lynch, Eric Snow, guys that were really good defenders but not scorers. And I think with LeBron, everybody builds teams a specific way. You build your team with shooters, and he handles the ball. And I've always thought the reason his teams aren't success, like in the playoffs, everybody complains, well, the team sucks when he leaves the floor. Yeah, because those guys don't handle the ball, and then now all of a sudden they're being asked to create and handle the ball, and LeBron's giving them open shots all season long, and now in the playoffs he needs to sit on the bench for 3 minutes to get a breather, and now they're like, hey, Kyle Korver, create your own shot, and they're not going to do that. That was just my thoughts on it.
Correct. So I mean that is a front office issue, and probably more in LeBron's case than Iverson's. In LeBron's case, he had pull to do whatever he wanted in the front office and wherever he's been at. Yes. If he's got the guys, if they're losing because of that is partially on LeBron. In Allen Iverson's case, he did not have the pull in the office. If he did, that'd be a surprise to me if someone knew that.
I don't think he had.
I don't think he had.
They're just
no.
Let's make sure he doesn't fly off the handle.
A lot of them, I think he got on a lot of their nerves more than him having.
Well, I know him and Larry Brown clashed a lot.
Yeah.
But Larry has lots of great things to say about Iverson now, which I found very interesting.
Well, I actually have a fun quote from. I'm trying to find it.
All right.
Schaller, you're on the clock.
That's right. Clock.
Just keep going.
Yeah. So, Wade, you were talking about usage percentage earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Where is AI on the all-time usage percentage list?
I don't know the exact
He's
part.
second all
I'll
time.
say he's high.
Is he that high?
Yeah, I said that in my
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
fun facts.
Second all time.
But I can
Okay.
give you the numbers here. Usage rate. Michael Jordan's at 35.58. Allen Iverson's at 34.34.
Yeah.
But going back to the quote of Larry Brown, one of his teammates, I believe it was Eric Snow, said, "When Larry Brown tells you not to shoot, you don't shoot." So he was actively telling players not to try to score because they weren't scorers. He was basically saying, "Run the offense and give the ball to Allen Iverson."
Well, it was probably a smart move to team him up with another Hall of Famer that doesn't need the ball. I mean, if you have a guy that shoots 30 times a game, team him up with a guy that shoots 8 or 9 times a game and is the best defensive player in the league. I mean, that was pretty smart for that season anyway.
I listened to
You said something nice. I'm surprised.
a podcast. Now I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it's on The Ringer, and one of the hosts on the podcast is Raja Bell, and he was talking. His rookie season, he played with AI on Philly, and he's like, I was in the gym putting up shots, and one of the assistant coaches came over and said, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I want to be ready, and when they call my number, I'll be ready, I'll be hit some shots, blah blah blah." And he goes, he grabbed me and he turned me around. And at the other end of the floor, AI was getting up shots. And he goes, "You see that guy down there? He's the fucking guy that shoots. You don't fucking shoot. You play defense. You hustle for loose balls. You do those things. He fucking shoots, not you."
That's the way the team was built. Their whole concept was built around Allen Iverson and him chucking up 30 shots.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, if you're playing just 40 minutes per game, running through cut screens, ball screens, every screen imaginable to get shots off and shooting 30 times, think what kind of engine you have to do. And if you're shooting 40%, I don't think there's very many players working the minutes that he would work and doing the things that he did would shoot 40%.
I wish we had the TrackMan data from today's NBA when guys like AI played, guys like Reggie Miller played, guys that were constantly just running.
Rip
Hamilton, yeah. Because we talk about they'll throw up some stat like LeBron ran 8.4 miles today in this game.
But it's all ISO ball.
Yeah.
There's no offense. Like back in the late 90s, and they were playing they were really doing cuts and screens and double downs. So he was running. I bet you he ran 20 miles in a game.
That's what I was getting at. Is some of these guys ran significantly more than anybody I know in today's NBA. Reggie Miller ran off 8 screens of possession to try and get open. I just said Reggie Miller. I meant Ray Allen did the same thing. Rip Hamilton did that similar thing. We've seen guys that just are constantly in motion, constantly run on the offensive end of the floor, and not all of them sat on the defensive end of the floor and did nothing. So it would be interesting to see what type of mileage they were putting in during these games. And I personally think, though, that's why Allen Iverson's not that he had a short career, but his career rapidly declined. All of a sudden he went from 25 a night to probably shouldn't play no more.
It's minutes and fatigue, his body, and he was small and taking some beatings in the paint. There's one time I thought Shaq ate him in the 2001 finals because he literally ran into him and he was just he disappeared in that body. So I'm surprised he had as long as a career as that he did. To be honest with you,
there at the end, didn't someone ask him to be a 6th man and he said no, and it caused a bunch of problems, and he ended up just being out of the NBA.
That was Detroit.
I was going to say it was Memphis, but you might be right.
It was Detroit.
Well, those are the last 2 teams, so it's one of the 2.
Well, they said 6th man, and then. But there was a whole bunch of issues with that coach, and Rip Hamilton also had issues with that coach. It was a whole thing. Both of those two were on their way out on their career, and both of them kind of were asked to take lesser roles, and they were both saying, well, we're better than the other players you have, so why are we taking lesser role?
That's the end of that dominant Detroit team, right?
Yeah, and it was just basically a dysfunctional mess at that point.
Because I think Ben Wallace had left and went to Cleveland. Cleveland or the Chicago, one of the 2.
That was the year before that they shipped Ben Wallace.
Was the year before?
Yeah.
And then Chauncey and Allen Iverson traded for each other.
Yep.
And then, Rasheed, Tajon and Rip and Rasheed might still be there, but that's the end of that team that made 6 straight Eastern Conference Finals or whatever. 2 finals teams.
But at that point, they were washed up too.
They were all older.
They had their run.
Definitely.
To be honest with you, that Pistons run is actually hella impressive. The amount of.
I wish they just would have won more than one title though. It was a really good team.
I agree, but
that was more of a definition of a real team than
that was legit 5 good players.
I was gonna say they're
players.
one of the only teams ever to win a championship without a superstar. They had a lot of all-stars, just no superstars.
That was the Atlanta Hawks from a couple years ago, all-star picks. The team itself was really good, so they just start picking a few of the members to make the all-star team.
Mm-hmm.
But Ben Wallace did just make the Hall of Fame. So
Yeah, Ben obviously just made the Hall.
probably
I don't think Sheed does. Definitely
No.
not Tayshaun Prince. I don't think Rip does. Billups, I don't know what his career numbers are. or
Chauncey probably has
anything.
the
I don't
best
know.
chance. I don't know if it'll happen.
I don't think he'll make it, but yeah, he's the only one that has a shot
Yeah,
in
but
my
But
mind.
to be honest with you, it surprised me that Ben made it.
He had
We
so many
hear-
defensive awards that I think that
We have 3 or 4 defensive player of the year awards.
yeah,
I
and
think-
every all defensive team, and he had no offensive stats whatsoever. But
He had that like 5 or 6 year stretch where it was like 12 to 15 rebounds a game and 3 blocks and like a steal or 2 too.
I still wouldn't have put him in the Hall of Fame. But
Yeah, it was
with zero offensive stats, I think that's kind of hard
Well,
nowadays.
It
but
depends on the year. Sometimes they're just crappy years for all sports in the Hall of Fame. They just don't have a lot of great guys coming up that
Yeah.
year for eligibility.
He snuck in, is what you're saying?
Oh yeah, that happens all the time in all sports. You get all kinds of guys that sneak in.
Yeah, well, then you have the opposite right now with baseball, who has screwed around and backlogged it so much, where you have guys not getting in. They're like, these guys are clearly Hall of Famers. Why are they having to wait 4 and 5 times to try and get in? I don't know. Hall of Fame stuff's weird.
It is.
Well, we've ignored the Laker fans for a while. So, Uncle Doug, what you got for us?
Well, I was just going to ask Wade a question.
Yeah.
We both have Reggie Miller on our list.
Yes, indeed.
Right. I think I have him 9th, and I think you have him 10th.
Yes.
Okay. So, when you look at their numbers,
Mm-hmm.
Reggie does have a much better shooting percentage.
Indeed.
But when you're talking 6 assists to 3 assists,
Mm-hmm.
AI out-rebounds Reggie. 3.7 to 3. Outsteals him 2.2 to 1.1. And then outscores him by 8 points.
Indeed he does. Indeed he does.
So how do you get Reggie over AI?
I'm glad you asked. I wrote that down.
Okay. Oh,
And-
well, there we go.
Yeah.
And AI has an MVP.
Right.
And Rookie of the Year.
Well, we can talk about the MVP too if you want.
Oh, no.
I'm not gonna go crazy over the MVP because people that maybe don't necessarily aren't the best player that year often don't win it. So that's a whole nother debate. We've talked about that with the Derrick Rose MVP and other
Right.
stuff. but
Well,
anyway.
yeah, we've talked about MVP several times about how
Yeah,
the
but-
best player doesn't always get it.
Yeah, so MVPs or whatever. He had a good year, so it's whatever. But all right, my overall point with Allen Iverson was, I know he scores a lot. I know he's had some great moments and great years and all that. I'm not saying he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame or anything. But his overall inefficiency, his lack on the defensive end, overall effectiveness isn't up to par with certain other players, in my opinion. Like I said, I know he played a lot of minutes, like Schaller said, and his scoring stats are through the roof. And I would agree, earlier in his career especially, his teammates weren't very good. But a lot of the ways he played, even later in his career, I often thought he was often a detriment to his team, I thought, than being a positive. For an example, when he goes to the Nuggets, he does have a good regular season, like Schaller says, but then he shoots them out of the series in the opening round, shooting 37%, and they lose in the first round. And then the following year, or the year after, I don't remember which one, they trade for Chauncey Billups, and they go 2 rounds farther in the playoffs, just swapping one player, and that player is Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson has in defensive box plus minus, not even a positive number. It is negative 0.2. Reggie Miller's, I don't know what it is, because I don't really technically know what goes into the box plus minus, the whole thing. But
Yeah.
overall, I would take Reggie Miller on the defensive end over Allen Iverson is my point.
Box plus minus is what your team does when you're on and off the floor.
Okay.
So it's like, what if your team is defensively or offensively better with you on or off the floor?
Okay. And
So-
then, yeah.
So
I'm almost-
one thing I do want to say is the
Yeah.
first year you are correct. Iverson did shoot him out. He did go
Mhm.
to a second one with them,
Was it
and
second one?
and he was actually lights out. He shot 48% from the floor. It looks like he
I just
averaged
looked that up. I don't
24 and a
know.
half. He averaged 4.5 assists and only 1.8 turnovers. That's pretty good on on the second time. The first time around, I have no debate. You're correct. He did shoot him out of the playoffs. But in 07-08, he was actually one of the most efficient series of his career, even though they were out in the first round.
I mean, my overall that might be true. My overall point was. I mean, his playoff. I'm sure you have it pulled up. His
Yeah,
overall
this is-
percentage in the playoffs is right at 40%.
Yeah.
For his entire career. So I think efficiency and being able to play a little better defense, and I lost my next train of thought. Oh, lack of turnovers that Reggie Miller has can lead to better overall team success. And there is a stat that helps prove that. That isn't completely 100% foolproof here, but they have win shares, which takes in everything you do on the court and it puts it forth if you helped your team win or lose that game. Allen Iverson has 99 career win shares, which is a good total. I'm not saying it's terrible. It's like 88th all time or something like that. Reggie Miller has 177 career win shares. So I think that efficiency difference and the turnover difference might make a bigger difference than you think.
It's hard to turn over the ball when you're just a catch and shooter.
Fair enough, but it still doesn't. I mean, he's still just not turning over the ball. They play a different role, but he's still the best player on the team.
Just
And he's not shooting his team out of any games. He's
Before-
one of the most efficient players ever, going up against one of the most inefficient players ever.
before I get rid of this or forget it, Reggie Miller and Allen Iverson's defensive box plus minus are identical. They're the exact same.
Apparently, Reggie didn't play much defense either.
Um,
But their offensive win shares, Reggie Miller's is actually over double.
yes,
Allen
their
Iverson's.
win shares are vastly different. Now, I don't know how to calculate win shares, but it does say that win shares are an estimation. So I don't know. I honest to God have no idea. Do they add together, points, rebounds, assists?
It takes in
you
I
know,
think
all
your
that stuff.
regular stats. Someone correct me if I missed something. Your usual box score plus your efficiency and turnovers, at least. Beyond, if there's anything else, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's not one I can tell you how to calculate.
I don't really know.
I mean, Reggie only averaged 20 points in the playoffs. Like, it's kind of low for your best player.
No, I mean that could be true, but 20 points at I think
40. He shot 48 from 2 and 39 from 3.
39
Which
from
obviously Iverson's not a 3-point shooter, and he didn't take a ton of attempts anyway.
3. Okay.
Sorry, we're trying to look up how you
Yeah.
calculate win shares, and
And
we're not getting much
It
answers.
makes no sense what they put.
So I'm gonna keep looking. Sorry.
Yeah.
Win.
I thought I got a.
Whatever you guys find will suffice for me, because I have
Sounds
no
right.
idea.
I have no idea either.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
That first thing we looked
They've
up was
talked
really
about it
weird.
before, but I.
Okay, so I did. This is what it says. It says win shares. Okay, win shares have to do with team wins also.
Yeah,
so
it's
if
towards winning.
if you
Win share.
if you win 60 games, your team it triples that, so 180, and then divides out the 180 between its players.
Mhm.
So yeah,
But you're not always guaranteed a win share. I
no,
don't
no,
believe.
I'm not saying they are. I'm literally just telling you what I'm reading here.
Yeah.
I'm not
You
trying to
have
make a
be
case one
of
way or the
people
other. I'm
that
just
lead to the victory.
So if the team wins more, your win share goes up?
yes.
It can, yes. Or if, like, say you have a really long, like every stat, if you have a really long career for, say, like, Jabbar is number 1 all time in win shares. He contributed most to
Okay.
winning games. But he has a longer career than,
Sure.
say, Iverson or Jordan. So that's going to affect it, too. Like, it's not.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
it's
it also
taken a
makes
while.
sense that Iverson's is a little lower because his team
Yeah,
was
right.
booty.
No, I agree. But it's almost double. That's the, like, that's a
I
bit
mean,
much.
Indiana had like 4 or 5 years in a row where they were basically the best team in the East.
They were good there for a while.
Yes, we were.
I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Like, I'm getting more and more into this, and this looks really complicated. Like, there's a lot of numbers here. Like,
I'm just gonna take the L on that one, but
it's calculated points produced, so it's adding together what you score plus how many points come off your assists. So you have to know whether there were 2s and 3s, and then you have to know how many possessions you use to get those. Then
So it just takes in everything you do. Pretty
yeah,
much.
like I'm like there's so many more things to say right now. Like but I don't even know what all of it means so far. Like trying to read through it on the fly here. Like calculate marginal offense for each player. What okay,
even-
so
what's that even
marginal
mean?
offense is equal to points produced, league points per times points, league points per against points per possession on the league average, and then
Okay. Win shares is disqualified. If it's that complicated, it can't mean anything.
So you're looking at what you produce compared to the league average, and then you do the same thing only in wins, and that's how you end up with your win shares through some math.
You lost me a while ago.
Sorry, I'm really just trying to.
Crazy.
I'm really just trying. Yeah, and he's the math major. I'm just.
Yeah.
Yes, listeners, we are educational too.
Yeah.
We're trying to be it. I swear, we're all educated.
It looks like it starts with calculate points produced, and they estimate points produced. It's not evidently what you score, but I'm not sure whether you get that
so
number.
It doesn't say everything that goes into points produced. So like if I don't know, like it's really weird. Obviously, we're not going to have win shares for older players because we don't have all this data.
Right.
We don't have video for all their games, so we can't even estimate it.
They like Russ. Well, Chamberlain's like top 5. Chamberlain's on the list.
Is he?
Yeah. So I mean, he was in the 60s.
Let's.
I think my trivia question is going to be, how do you calculate win share?
Don't you dare, Drew, ask that question.
See, find the sum of estimated turnovers for the players on the team. What do you mean estimated turnovers? You either had a turnover or you didn't.
Well, and then before the late 70s, they didn't keep track of turnovers.
Yeah.
So what do you do with that?
Multiply the team's turnovers by the player's share.
I don't know what that means.
So you're multiplying the total turnovers by the player's turnovers? Dude, I'm working on multiple pages of shit you got to do to find your win shares. This is crazy.
I'm starting to think this is just a made-up statistic to piss people off.
And then you got the players' modified points.
Just put every stat known to man
field
on
goals
this page.
times 1 minus the team's assists divided by the team field goals.
Yeah.
Plus 1.5 times field goals times team assists divided by team field goals.
I would say we
plus
do
1 times free throws plus 0.5 times assists.
That's one calculation.
One number in the calculation. You got to do all that.
I would say we do a player, but we might be here a while.
3 hours from now, we'll be like, we know what LeBron James' win share is.
And we
Wow,
know how to
this
do
went
it.
down a rabbit hole we just need to get out of.
Yeah, this is wow.
We're all confused on win shares.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Wade's
So-
debate about win shares is now thrown out because
Oh,
because none of us understand.
Because it doubles Allen Iverson. It doesn't count. That is a bunch of crap.
We just like to pick on you, Wade.
All right, well, we'll try different routes. We can't do win shares.
Wade gets to
apparently.
lose a trivia point. Since
No, just because
No, I
I'm beating
thought it was a fair
everybody's
point.
ass in trivia doesn't even take away the point.
You are doing that. That's
Yes,
true.
you are.
Okay. We'll try a different route, Schaller. We'll try a
No. I thought it was a fair point. It was.
different route.
I'm
Okay. Try to think where we left off on our actual conversation before win shares. Okay. All right. So when we're talking about Reggie Miller, my overall point was the way he played, I thought, helped the team more than the way Allen Iverson played. Pretty much what I was getting at. And win shares, I thought, was somewhat of a way to show that. But apparently we don't know what the fuck that is. But
All of us, you included, don't know what that is.
did you understand anything he said?
No.
So this is just a question. How many times did Reggie make the finals? I don't know.
One.
Once.
And who did they lose to? Because I know he doesn't.
The
have
Lakers.
Lakers.
It was the year before. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Because, okay, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I am completely wrong here. Reggie made the finals with Jalen Rose and Rick Smits.
Mark Jackson.
and those guys.
It was Smits, Jackson. Fuck, no, I'm drawing.
Rose.
We had Mullins. We had Austin.
old
I think
Mullins.
we had Austin Crozier on the bench.
Oh, okay, yeah. That team made the finals and lost to the Lakers. And then it was 4 years later was when the Malice in the Palace happened, and they were supposed to be really good that year.
Yeah. That was our title
that
team.
was
They
Jermaine
got fucked
O'Neal,
over.
Steven Jackson, Ronald. They didn't get fucked over. They did what they
Well-
had, like they did it.
If we look at the
Miller's
tape on the
old pepper.
documentary, it was beer can guy that fucked us all over.
beer can guy's an asshat, but Ron Artest went up there and beat up the wrong guy.
This is true.
And he doesn't feel bad.
And Steven Jackson decided, fuck it, I'm going to do it too. Just ran out there and started swinging.
I have more respect for Steven Jackson because at least he went out there to defend his teammate. Like, his teammate at that point had, like,
Yeah.
4 guys fighting
But at
him.
the same time, like, you're watching one of the dumbest things ever done, and you think, I'm joining in. I don't think that's it was both as dumb.
But anyway, I'm not trying to get into that whole argument. But that Reggie was on both those teams, what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Yes.
Reggie was on a loaded team that had lost in the Eastern Conference Finals the year before to Detroit, the year Detroit won the finals. And then the Malice in the Palace happened.
And then
That's
before
all.
Well, here, let me
Like,
say one
Reggie's
more.
older during a lot of that, correct? Like, the
Yeah.
Mouse
Yeah.
and Palace
Yeah.
is his last year.
Yes,
but
it
then
is.
the years
That's it.
before that, he was losing to Michael in the Eastern Conference Final, so he still had good teams then too.
But
Well, let me say one thing with the 2000.
2000.
Let me say one thing about the 2000 team. It's not like Reggie had a loaded team of shooters. We had Chris Mullins was on the dead end
He
of
made,
his
he
career.
made your list, by the way. Don't we, Chris
Yeah.
Mullins? He made your list.
It was Chris Bowen averaging 9 points a game.
On the end of his career, it's not like he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm scoring 30 points." Well, fuck no, you're coming off the bench. And then you got Jalen Rose, who's a mid-range shooter. It's not like
He
he's
was-
a killer shot.
Wasn't he a rookie?
No, he was on. He got drafted to Denver.
And then he went to Toronto, and
So he played good.
Honestly, I thought
No,
Jalen
no, no.
Rose was the best player on the team.
In
that year.
'98, he was a rookie, or
I
second year
actually
player.
agree
I
with
thought.
that.
Say-
Jalen Rose was actually played better than Reggie.
He played
I thought
good
that year.
I'm lost on what year we're talking about.
We're talking about
Anyway.
the finals year they lost to the Lakers. is what
Oh.
we're talking
I
about.
want to ask
Sorry.
Ray a question since he's a Reggie fan. So did you pick Iverson over Reggie?
No, yeah, I picked Iverson over Reggie.
So as a Reggie, so what was your thinking between the two?
Well, I mean, Reggie's good, and I mean, I've had a lot of biased opinions on this list that I've created, but
Charles
Iverson
Oakley.
took probably more control of the team. But with that said, I put Reggie on the list because of biased opinions, but also not because of shooting, because of his other aspect to the game of psychological warfare. Because you come at Reggie, he's not, the best at everything, but he can knock you off your fucking pedestal and shake you, and then he just kill you on the shot. Iverson can take you off, drive on you, score here, score there on his own. Reggie can do that, but they had the offense set up to help him score the ball. So, I mean, tis for tat here. I mean, they're kind of similar, but in different aspects of the offense.
I think, and I think everybody here will agree, they played completely different. Like Schaller said earlier, Reggie ran off screens. He was a catch and shoot guy. Yeah, everyone's he did create some. I act like he didn't do anything, but he played more like Klay Thompson, where he was catch and shoot. He was a spot up guy. Ran off screens, did all those things.
2.5
Where
assists in the playoffs per game. I mean, he's not helping other people score.
and AI had the ball in his hands. He was going to affect the possession and whether you score, whatever he did. Allen Iverson was playing then like most guys play now, like LeBron plays, like Harden plays, like Kyrie plays. A lot of these guys where it's I'm gonna isolate, I'm gonna hold the ball, I'm gonna decide what happens in this possession. Iverson was playing then like most of the league plays now.
And even when he wasn't doing that, they were running plays for him to get the ball to do something.
Yeah,
I got a question for you, Alberta.
sure.
We're talking about high usage rates, guys. Like
Yes.
in the Westbrook episode and the Harden episode, and you and me got into like an argument about assists.
Oh yeah,
And you said
assists
somewhat
can be
of
can be selfish.
is there really a difference between Iverson's assists and Westbrook's assists?
No.
And Okay, that's the point I was trying to make.
No, I agree with you.
Like,
I agree
his
with you.
assists aren't really making people better. It's because he's already shot 18 times in one half, and he's getting triple teamed and just dumping the ball.
I look at Iverson's assists like I look at Westbrook's assists.
Okay, that's what I was looking
Because I think if you have the ball in your hands all game, every game, you're gonna walk into 5 or 6 assists a game. Like I really believe that. Like you're dropping the ball off for a guy to dunk. You know, whether it's Steven Adams, whether it's Kendrick Perkins, whether it's Dikembe Mutombo, Theo Ratliff. You know, these guys are all defensive anchors that you drop the ball off to, they'll dunk it for you. And yeah, you're going to kick to some shooters at times. I don't disagree with you on that. I don't think I'm saying anything outlandish when I say Allen Iverson could be very selfish.
Okay. I just want to know if you thought the same way towards Iverson's assists as you did Harden's and Westbrook's, because I was talking about Harden's assist in that episode, and you didn't really like it. So I don't really think there's
any
any
prolific
difference.
scorer, their assists are selfish assists. It's only because they can't get a shot off, and there's somebody else that
Wide open.
that
Yeah.
they have. If that guy was not wide open and they could get a shot off, you bet your ass they're shooting the ball over passing to that other player.
So
That's what Alex is probably saying by selfish is.
Yeah.
It's always going to be I'm going to shoot. If I'm only going to pass it if I have to.
Yeah, I think we all agreed on that.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
So then is it necessarily Reggie Miller's fault that he played with Mark Jackson and Reggie Miller wasn't the ball handler and he was running off screens, not handling the ball?
No, I don't think it's Reggie's fault. I'm just saying I think we're comparing apples and oranges when we're talking about certain things. I mean, they're both shooting guards, obviously, and they both played at least partially in the same era. They overlapped some.
Some, yeah.
But
Well, for a while actually.
Quite a while.
yeah,
Yeah.
probably 8 or 9 years, probably.
Reggie's just a
Reggie
little
was
bit
on
older.
starting to tail on his prime when
Yeah.
Iverson was really
Yeah.
heating up.
But I just think it's like comparing Curry and Clay. Curry's got the Curry.
Oh, okay.
Curry's
You're
out there doing his thing and creating more. He's dribbling the ball and creating, and he does some of the things that Clay does. The shooting, and come off screens when Draymond has the ball. But Clay is not doing those things that Curry's doing. Clay is literally coming off screens to shoot, spotting up to shoot. He's not creating. He's not dribbling. Clay is more Reggie in that facet of the game. Sorry, I
Okay.
just
So then
fumbled my way through it.
with that being said, I'm trying to think how to word this correctly. Okay, so does that necessarily make Iverson better because he has a usage rate that is, I would guess, 10 to 15 points higher, which is a lot, and probably shot 10 to 12, again, guessing, don't know for sure, 10 to 12 times more a game at a much less efficient rate? Does that make him better than Reggie Miller because he just shot more and had the ball more?
Not necessarily, I would say. I mean, both teams are based around the two stars.
That is my overall point with Allen Iverson. Just because you shot more than everyone else doesn't necessarily make you better. Now, I'm not saying he wasn't good. He obviously did amazing things, but it could be a detriment to how much he was shooting sometimes. And he didn't really bring much else to the table. I mean, I get he got like 2 to 3 steals a game for a while, but there's like 60. He had to play defense like 60 times in a game, so there's like 57 other possessions where he's. Well, I mean, he was undersized. He got picked on.
Well, just because he isn't a good defender, I'm not saying that.
He's just undersized.
He's undersized, but the effort was there. He was trying to play defense.
No,
He was just taking
I
advantage.
wasn't saying about effort. I'm just saying. I mean, Steph Curry gets picked on right now in the NBA,
Yeah.
but it's unfair. But
You
they're
take their
just-
scoring ability over.
They're just
their-
not good defenders.
Yeah.
It's just.
I take him over James Harden, who doesn't even try.
I agree with that. I give you that
That's
one.
my issue with on Harden, and that is I can't.
There's full 10-minute YouTube clips of him just giving up on defense.
Yeah.
Like-
No, I think
It's hilarious. They're pretty funny.
yeah.
It's like him rolling his eyes, just walking away.
that's why Eric Snow was somebody that played with AI for so long, because he was a big point guard and could guard twos, and they could put AI on point guards that more were his size. And because I think they would have benefited more from, especially since they just gave AI the ball on offense anyway, they could have just played him with a shooting guard. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
a guy that could actually shoot a little bit. He doesn't have to be a scorer, but like if he would have played with Reggie Miller or Klay Thompson, guys that were spot up shooters, and I could just kick to him and let him shoot, I think that would have been more successful than a guy that's a nothing on offense.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying.
Clay can play defense and shoot.
Yeah, I mean Clay.
Yes.
I know it's become a negative
those are both
term.
his specialties. He's a 3
Yeah,
and D.
exactly. I know he's a 3 and D guy, but I know that's become a negative term. I'm not trying to insult Clay, but
He's just like the ultimate version of 3 and D.
Yeah.
is what he is.
My thing about Reggie is he's only look. I just looked this up. He's only a 5-time All-Star compared to Iverson's 11.
Oh, well, before we keep focusing on Reggie Miller, we've all admitted he's coming off our list.
Yeah, he's getting off
Oh,
our
Reggie.
list.
I'm not
for
digging
Reg-
any
except for-
deeper
except
than
for Reg.
get him out of here.
We've all admitted that we fucked up on Reggie Miller, so someone else will be in the 10 spot.
Fuck
not
you
Reggie
guys, I'm going home.
So,
I'm not digging any deeper than.
Well, that's why
Reggie
I'm
was
asking
my
Wade.
10.
Yeah, if he's gonna
but
be your
I
10.
did think there was a case there to be made. Just because one guy's shooting a lot more and constantly has the ball in his hands, and one doesn't. That doesn't necessarily mean it's more effective for the team overall.
I agree with that. I mean, it could go either way depending on what is best for that particular team and how it's built. For the Pacers, it worked. So,
I mean, it
but
worked
that
for-
was not going to work with how the
No, if
Sixers.
AI didn't score, the Sixers weren't doing anything.
I mean, when he missed games, they literally won 1 of 3 games every single time. They were almost like 33%. So that's pretty pathetic. I mean, basically, if he wasn't on the floor and shooting 30 times, they didn't have a shooting chance. It's basically all on him.
I mean, how do I word it? Yes, his teams weren't, especially some of them were pretty bad. And then, but the 0-1 finals team is one. You have to think how bad the East was that they got through. 2, his teammates saved him in a few scenarios. Well, we can even look it up if we want to just be 100% sure. I believe they beat the Pacers in the first round of the playoffs that year.
Correct.
And from what I read, I didn't look at the stats. In one of the articles I was reading, it says Reggie Miller outplays Allen Iverson, but the Sixers end up winning. Then they go and play Toronto, where, again, it's Vince Carter's team. Vince Carter's second best player is probably fucking Antonio Davis. They're not any good. And again, it's just a giant battle between AI and Vince. The article says Vince outplays him. Again, I don't know the stats. I don't know that for a fact. And then his team, but again, his team wins. I can't talk. I'm sorry. And then they go play Milwaukee, which is one of those giant controversial ones. You know what I'm talking about?
The
Yeah,
free
they
throw
talk about the
disparity.
free throws.
There's they end up shooting like 60 more free throws than the Bucks. Which, if you want to talk about refs, you can bring that up in numerous things.
I mean, in all fairness, unfortunately, this is the height of the Tim Donaghy era. So, like, this is an era, unfortunately, that most of us grew up with. We saw these things firsthand. They're very fresh in our mind. Uncle Doug saw it as well, but it wasn't like his introduction to the NBA. Drew missed a little bit, but like, there is a handful of huge playoff series here where at the time we can all say we were watching it going, man, the refs are screwing people, man. And then Tim Donaghy comes out and starts name dropping series. And we've brought multiple of these series up. I mean, in the C-Web episode we talked about the C-Web Lakers series,
Well, I
which
think we
was
talked
another
about-
Tim Donaghy
I
ref
think we
series.
talked about it last week, maybe. Just like we just mentioned about the 0-2 with the Kings and Lakers.
Well,
'Cause that's
real
the-
quick, my overall point wasn't, yes, you can argue about the refs, but that wasn't actually my point. I was just trying to make. The point, like, for example, in this series, just because this one specifically talks about his performance in the Bucks series, so I can actually tell you really what happened, not just what the article says about who outplayed who. In Game 1, he scores 34 points, but he shoots 13 of 35. In Game 2, he scores 16 points on 5 of 26 shooting. Game 3, he didn't play. Game 4,
He didn't play.
apparently it says he missed the game.
Oh.
Game 4, he scores 28, but it's on 10 of 32 shooting. And then in Game 5, sorry, I lost track of where I was, he had 15 points on 5 of 27 shooting. And they won a good chunk of those games where he's shooting like that. Now, the last 2 games, he does get much better. It is more efficient. But, like, one game is, like, low 40%, and one game is close to, mid to high 40s probably. But overall, that shooting percentage is probably in the mid-30s. But he wins the series. So his team did help him out maybe more than you think that season.
They're playing.
I mean, those are some low numbers for him to end up in that whole playoffs to averaging almost 33 points. So he must have some really big games in there to counteract those.
Well, I mean, in that series, he has a 34-point game, a 28-point
But
game.
a couple 15s and a 16 really
Yes.
drag your numbers down.
I wonder what happened that he was out. I wonder if he was hurt part of the series and got better as it went along. Or
But even in that entire playoffs combined, he shot 38%, but he made the NBA Finals. How can you say that a lot about a lot of other superstars? I mean, I think his team helped him out a little more than you think. They did have the Coach of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and Sixth Man of the Year all on his team that year. So I'm not saying they're a great team. I'm kind of saying the East sucked that year more than anything.
And then he playing Ray Allen's Bucks and the.
Yes, and the Bucks were the best team they faced. They had Glenn Robinson and Ray Allen and Sam Cassell.
I'm trying to think.
But that's also the one where you can say the ref thing.
Well,
Where
yeah,
they shot
because there was some TikTok.
because there was like
Oh, Jesus.
they
Here
shot
we go. I
like
haven't said it in a
the
while.
TikTok.
No, it was in game 3 or game 4 of that series. It was one of the Bucks players. He just shot free throws for the first time. that
Glenn
whole-
Robinson didn't shoot a free throw till Game 5.
Yeah,
and he's the
that's
second
it.
best player on the team. and
That's it, yeah.
It was like 14 technical fouls to 2, or maybe not 14, like 12. Wait, I think it's in this article I'm looking at. Hang on.
Yeah, I remember seeing the TikTok that says, yeah, Glenn Robinson did not shoot free throws till game 5.
Sorry, I'm looking something up too. So I guess I have a question for the general public here. In that year, that 76ers team that made the finals averaged 94 points a game. Which in today's NBA would make you dead last, and you'd be laughed at like a bunch of chumps.
That was hand check era though. They could play defense.
Want to hear the funny part though? Before you continue, that's almost what the Knicks average in the playoffs this year.
I
They
think the
averaged
Knicks averaged like 89 or something like this.
I thought it was
maybe
like
98.
98. So they literally
Yeah.
in today's era almost averaged that in the first round of the playoffs. That's how bad the Knicks were in offense.
But if you average 94 points as a team, and Iverson averaged 31 of them, that's almost a third of your team's points every night.
And you got to take in I think he was averaging at least 6 assists that series. So that's
Probably.
another. You're taking almost about half.
But and they were. I think
Who
they
was
were
the second leading
fifth.
scorer.
I believe it was
Ratliff?
Dikembe Mutombo.
Was it
and
Rat-
He was like 12 points.
Theo Ratliff averaged 12 points per
12.
game, while Mutombo averaged 11. And Aaron
Right.
McKee averaged 11.
And then Eric Snow's like 9 and 7.
9 and 7, yes.
And
Yeah.
then the rest of the team didn't score.
But they were the 5th ranked defense that year.
Mm.
So
Oh, they were
that
really
was
good.
that was their job to play defense around Allen Iverson. And
I mean, yeah,
I believe they
they
succeeded.
they did a let's see.
Until they ran into the juggernaut, the Lakers.
No, I don't think anyone was going to beat the Lakers. Rather, if
but-
Allen Iverson had a little more help or not.
They
I
were
don't
their
think they would've won.
defensive rating was 5th in the league. That's what it says here, but I don't have
Yeah.
like
The thing I saw in the article was that they were 5th in the league that year. So
yeah. So
that's,
yeah.
yeah. So the supporting cast was doing what they were brought to do at least. And I also think, just kind of a fun fact, this is the only team, I think, in NBA history that had the MVP, Coach of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and Sixth Man of the Year all on the same team.
And didn't win.
And didn't win. Correct. I think they're the only ones to do that, I think.
Arguably, that's not Allen Iverson's best year either. The year after that, it should have been his MVP year.
Well, he had...
And then that year, someone else should have won it in 01, and he should have won it in 02.
Well, the big argument with a lot of those years is Shaq's the most dominant player in the NBA at that time. He should be the MVP every year, but
He only has
you can't
one.
do that in the NBA.
He still should have got more than one.
I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, Shaq should have more than
he
one.
should have. He should
Yeah.
be.
You can make that argument for a lot of players.
Yeah, I looked it up, the whole MVP thing, and I think Iverson's efficiency level in that season is a little better than other seasons. I think I will give him that. I could be wrong on the year, but I think it's up to like 43 or 44 that year.
In 01-02, so the next year, like Schaller was talking about, they only scored 91 points a game as a team.
Yikes.
And Iverson averaged 31 again. So less points, but more points per game for him. Go ahead, Schaller.
No, the year he's talking about was the year he was a little more efficient. The next year he was less efficient.
Less. Okay.
Well, I tried to figure out what I thought his best years were, and I came out with 05-06 being, I thought, maybe his best year.
Is that Nuggets?
No.
No.
No,
That's a
that's
Philly year.
Yeah, but it's a
He
Philly.
averaged 33 that year. 33, 3 and 7, 2 steals. Obviously, he didn't block any shots. He shot 44.7 from the field that year, 32 from 3, 81 from the free throw line, and he had 3 turnovers a game. I mean, 33 points a game on 44% shooting. That's a pretty solid season for him.
And he averaged 43 minutes in the regular season. That is outrageous.
He's older than too, isn't he? Starting to get in his 30s.
He was 30. He was
Yeah.
age 30, averaging 43, and I think that's the most minutes he. Nope, he's had 1 year of 43.7.
But the year before that, in 04-05, he averaged 30 points a game, 4 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals on 42% shooting. I mean, he had a couple pretty gigantic seasons there that are better than the year he won the MVP. Is what I'm saying. Yeah. I don't know who won the MVP in 05-06. I have no idea. I guess I should look that up. But
I thought Nash was one of those. Maybe that's a little.
Nash.
you know what? Nash
Nashy.
Nash might be one of those. Yeah.
Sounds
Oh,
about
Nashy
right,
poo.
honestly.
Old Nashy poo.
Oh, nasty poo.
All right. It's I'm trying to make sure I get 05-06 MVP is Steve Nash.
Is that the one where Shaq says he should have won? Because Shaq says one that he claims he should have won one that Nash took from him. He always talks about it on TV.
I think Kobe talked about that too.
Maybe because I think that the first year he goes to the Heat and he turns them around and he still has pretty good numbers that year.
Yeah.
And he always claims Nash stole his MVP.
Looks like the
Some of
vote,
the stuff Shaq
voting.
says.
Nash finished first in the MVP. LeBron second. Dirk third. Kobe fourth. Chauncey fifth. Then Wade, Elton Brand, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Allen Iverson, and Sean Marion tied for 10th.
Oh, so they're talking about Elton Brand. I'll tell you something funny.
Oh gosh.
Here we go.
Oh, well, I didn't go into detail after we discovered that we don't know what win shares are. But I listed players that have more win shares in their career than Allen Iverson, and some of them are pretty funny. And one is Elton Brand. Elton Brand, one of my favorite players ever, has more win shares. Tyson Chandler, Andre Miller, and AC Green all have more win shares than Allen Iverson.
Andre Miller.
He was actually a good point guard for a while.
Yeah,
Good
I
point
like
guard.
Andre Miller.
You know what? I'm trying to remember most of those players, but a lot of those players played a long time.
Like Tyson
Oh, yeah.
Chandler.
Chandler's still in the fucking league.
He's still playing.
Yeah.
And he either came out of high school and
If
like
win
picked up
shares
the
is
ball.
taken into account your actual wins, and you've been playing for like an extra 15 seasons than
do you-
Iverson
well,
played, yeah,
like,
you might pass
Do you
him.
accumulate win shares being Tyson Chandler right now?
If you're not playing, I don't think you can.
Because, like, he just
it
sits
breaks
on
it
the
up into
bench.
Three. If you're
When I
not,
see-
if you're not one of the top like 3 contributors, I don't think you get a win share. I
When
don't
I
think.
see him, he's always
'Cause it
just
breaks it up
standing
into
up like,
thirds, correct? Is that what you said?
Ooh.
Yeah, let me look here.
All right, let's not go down that
Yeah.
win
Tyson
share.
Chandler
Let's
has
not
more
look-
win shares than AI. That by
How
3.
many does Tyson Chandler have?
Well, 102.
Oh,
So
it's a whole lot more.
I was just listing players that you wouldn't think have more win shares than Allen Iverson. I'm not saying they're better than Allen Iverson. It was just shocking to see some of those names up there.
We might have a problem if you said that.
Hey, you know what? AC Green's a hell of a player. Schaller. You better take that back.
Hey, this last year, Tyson Chandler has win shares. He has win shares every year he's in the league. Now, there's not a ton, but I mean, this last year, he only appeared in 26 games for 200 minutes, and he's got a half a win share.
No, I have a win share.
And last year, he got 2 win shares. So, I mean, like, he's still accumulating win shares, whatever they are.
And-
Well, if you
Well-
play on a good team, like AC Green played on the Lakers for a long time when they were winning, you probably racked up quite a few.
I think Andre Miller played forever too.
Andre Miller did, yeah. Andre
Although-
Miller played.
Yeah.
I mean, Elton Brand played for 17, 18 years, I think.
Probably, but a lot of that was coming off the bench, probably getting a half a win share a season there at the end after the torn
Yeah.
Achilles.
Yeah, that's
Now,
true.
before the torn Achilles, he's probably tearing it up. I mean, he's a beast. But
All right, well, do we want to move on to our closing statements here, gentlemen? All right, well, let's well, who wants to go first? Ray or Wade this time?
I guess I can go first this time.
All right, go for it.
Well, I mean, I think I've said most of what I was trying to say. I mean, he obviously scored a ton, got a lot of steals, was amazing for his size and played a lot of minutes. All that is true. But I just thought overall, between his lack of defense, being undersized, and his efficiency level, it could affect his team negatively more than some other players. And although we probably shouldn't have spent as much time on Reggie Miller, since we already admitted that none of us are going to put him on our fucking list.
That's
But
not true. Ray is going to keep him on his list.
Okay, except Ray.
Ray's
You're
not
damn
putting him on
right.
for nothing.
So me and Schaller were having a conversation about Reggie Miller and Iverson when we've all said we're taking Reggie Miller off the list. So I probably should have brought up like T-Mac or someone who's like my number 9. But it's too late. But or let Alex and Jared talk about T-Mac and AI. That would have been fun. But anyway, I know he's had some efficient seasons. I'm not trying to say he never did, but it's a proven fact. He's one of the most inefficient players over the past 20, 30 years. I think I even read a stat where he is one of the least efficient MVPs in the history of the NBA, and he didn't play in the 60s. Or maybe I think that might have been over, again, the past like 30 years or something like that. So yeah, it really is the inefficiency and the defense and not doing much else besides the scoring. Being famous for scoring 30 points on 30 shots, I don't really think is a positive thing. That's my opinion on Allen Iverson.
Fair enough. So I guess that comes to me, who I think was the closest in this argument to Wade, having him quite a ways down my list and such. But like I said early, I think Allen Iverson did some great things and is deserving of a list. I'm not as high on him as the rest of you all. He's a little bit quite a ways more than double the ranking for some of you guys. So there is that part. I do think Allen Iverson can become overrated at times because of his immense popularity. He was the most popular player in the NBA for a long time. He would have the most jersey sales, and he would win sellouts. They do that thing every year, like who has the most sellouts on the road when they show up in a city, and Allen Iverson would win that every year. Allen Iverson was just so immensely popular and captivating. Everybody wanted to go watch Allen Iverson play because he was so exciting, and he was 5'10", and it was ridiculous. But he also had a great career, and I think he's deserving to be on my list. Uncle Doug?
Yeah. 11-time All-Star, 7-time All-NBA, 4 scoring champs, 3 steal champs, MVP, Rookie of the Year. Yeah, I feel like he definitely needs to be on my list.
Drew?
Well, you guys have basically just said everything. All the stuff my dad just said. He did at the quite height of 5'10", 165. I don't see myself doing that at 6'2", 190. Just saying. So
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure. Even though you think I can beat Bob Cousy, Wade.
I was going to say, do you think Wade could beat Allen Iverson, or do you think Drew could beat Allen Iverson and get one-on-one?
Oh no, that was just Bob Cousy. That was just the one guy.
I'd have to agree with you on that.
No.
I think I would score on him, but he would.
Allen
I
Iverson
don't.
was actually more efficient than Bob Cousy. I'll give him that. Bob
was.
Cousy shot 37% from the field and like 32% during the playoffs.
I think he's more efficient than most of the old guys we talk about, like really old
Yes,
guys.
so Iverson gets a nod on Bob Cousy. Bob Cousy is top of the hatred list right now.
Yeah.
Where was Bob Cousy rated for some of you guys?
Number? He was
what's
second
the
point
list
guard
say?
for him.
He's in the 40s on
For
me,
Ray, Bob Cousy is at 11 overall.
I think.
Interesting.
And Wade thinks I can beat Bob Cousy 11-2 and pick up basketball.
Yes, the height would get him. You need the height.
I don't think he's totally off.
I hope.
See, someone's on my side.
I hope you can, Drew. He's like 78 years old.
See, and you're taller, stronger, and you're a track star, so you can keep. He ain't run by you.
That's
So
true.
what's going to happen? You're going to block a shot, and then you're going to post him up, and that's all that's going to happen.
All right.
Bob Cousy's going down.
We need to call him up and ask him what. It's going to be the episode.
He's
on
almost
Wade.
dead now, so.
But
maybe.
you have to understand, like, if you look at my list without me explaining it, you would think some child would put names on a dartboard and threw darts at the names.
All right. Well, I think that leads us to Ray. who was the top guy, 17 overall and 3 on his shooting guard list. Ray, what you got for your closing statement?
Well, I just think with his overall impact and the new flavor that he brought to the game that kind of shook everybody, it kind of just, I just enjoyed watching him with all that, and with Mr. Stat Checker Schaller over here, it just blew me away. I mean, he was that good, and just nobody could, just contain him really with that street style of basketball that he brought into the NBA. And I had to give him props for that, and that's why he's on the top 50.
He's not just top 50. He's the top half of your top
20.
50.
You're
Yeah,
damn
top
right.
20.
He's real high.
But I'm just being modest, okay?
All right, fair enough. All right, well, that will end our Allen Iverson portion of this episode and lead us to trivia.
I'm ready.
Schaller, would you like
I'm
to
ready.
take part in trivia this week?
I don't actually have a question, but yes, I'll try to answer.
I
Okay,
Google my
so-
question during the episode every week. Don't worry. Just saying.
We answer on our whiteboards so that Drew doesn't cheat.
I'm still beating Alex. We're tied
No,
right
you're
now.
not, actually, but nice try.
Well, I'm beating all of you, and that is true. So
Yes, he did.
Can we use Google?
Yeah. I mean, not to answer, but to get your question.
You just said yes, so I will be using Google to answer. I'm going to get all.
Who would like to go first?
Me.
Okay.
All right. What percentage in the first 2 years of retirement do NBA players go bankrupt or have financial
This is a great question. This is a great
Allen
question.
Iverson's went bankrupt like 2 or 3 times. I'm asking it.
Okay.
So,
run that by me
yeah,
again.
run it.
Within the first 2 years of retirement, what percentage of NBA players go bankrupt or have financial stress?
Oh my god.
So Allen Iverson was inefficient on and off the court.
How
This
close
is
do we have to
hilarious.
get?
Just like 17, just like last week, when like 17, 18%. You just gotta have that.
Okay.
It's not like I'm gonna say
Alright. Within
18.5.
So, you got,
to
so we have a 1 in 100 chance.
Yeah, basically.
If
Can we do like a give or take, like a couple percentages?
No, you have to be right on.
Like,
Okay.
are we within 5? Does it count?
Or what? Why don't you or give us a range?
Okay,
like
I'll give you a range. It's between 30 and 60.
30 and 60.
Well, let's go 30. No, let's go. I'll give you 30 and 70.
That's worse.
Well, it's obviously
You know what,
30 and
what
60.
happened was he goes, shit, the number's actually between 60 and 70. I gave him the number. They're not going to get it right.
All right, 30 and 70.
I'm just guessing. I don't.
All right.
Whatever.
We'll go for it.
Wow. That was on the low spectrum. I'm glad he gave me a change.
It's going to be a lot higher than I thought it was going to be.
someone
I was
gets
gonna say,
this,
and
why
your
would the
third- and in the first 2 years after retirement,
Yeah.
over 30%. That's crazy.
I mean, some of them have to get it.
Haven't you seen Delonte West?
Well,
That's a dark story. That is a dark.
We don't have
time.
enough time for that. So
dude,
let's
I
just-
guess that's what happens when you start banging your teammates' moms. Like you can't.
LeBron financially destroyed the guy.
Hey, they wanted it,
Anyway,
All
what's
right. I got my answer.
I got a number.
All right, let's see him.
I put 55%.
48%.
61.
38.
55.
60.
60.
Okay.
60% of NBA players
By
file
what?
for
That's
bankruptcy
insanity.
And
in the first 2
and
years.
listen to the NFL one.
Oh, I bet it's like 75 or something.
78.
78.
That's a lot. Like,
That's crazy.
stop buying fancy cars.
I mean, can't you
Dude.
get like a financial advisor?
When Scottie Pippen filed for bankruptcy, and when they went
'Cause
to
he got divorced like 3 times.
inventory his stuff, he had 2 private jets. Why would you possibly need more than one?
The maintenance on one's enough.
he ain't Jordan. I'm the one he's trying to do.
And we just saw
he
a
ain't got
whole
Air Jordan in his
we just
He
saw
didn't
a
residuals.
whole documentary on how he signed bad contracts.
Right.
I mean, Michael Jordan's so rich. He was a billionaire, got divorced, wasn't, and like 6 months later was again.
Yeah.
Like, he's nuts.
Who would like to go next?
I'll go next. Which active player has the highest career winning percentage?
Active player, huh?
And I'd say there's more than 100 people in the league, so there's less odds here.
That's true. That's true.
So
Well, I mean, I think you can know it's not going to be quite a few of them.
Nobody that plays for Orlando.
Yeah. I'll give you a hint. They don't play for the Hornets.
thank you.
There's
See,
a
we
hint.
just narrowed it down.
Yeah.
I did too.
from like 29 to 28 teams, or however many there is. I don't
There's
even know.
30
There's
teams.
30.
Well, 30. Yeah.
Well, we also already eliminated the Orlando Magic, so he was correct on
Oh.
28.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Thank you.
We got your back, bud.
Thank you. We agreed on Bob Cousy, so we're good.
Yeah. All right, I got to guess.
Man.
I have no idea.
All right, I got to guess.
Oh, whoa, 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 whoa.
Drew, right?
I got
I don't
it.
know.
That was
I
really
have no idea.
fast.
Everybody got theirs?
I got it.
Okay. Let's see.
I put Kawhi.
Okay.
I said KD.
KD.
That's
This is really small.
LeBron.
Okay.
I said Harden.
It is Kawhi.
Oh, Alex moves ahead of us, Drew.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, Wade's got a smirk on his face. It's going to be fucking Kawhi.
It was the highest ever, but it went down like a percentage point or two this year, and now Magic Johnson is back to being number one all time, and Kawhi's
Yeah.
number two.
But
All right. Who wants to go next, gentlemen?
I got one. Okay, AI was number 9 on the, or number 15 on the all-time steals list. So I was looking over the steals list. At number 7, you have the first non-guard. Who is that?
I have my answer. I don't see much writing going on.
I got mine.
Because I'm
I got
done.
mine.
Drufus?
Non-guard. Oh, I got a guess.
I hope so.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
LeBron.
LeBron.
But Larry Bird.
I said Pippen.
Ray gets it. It's Scottie Pippen.
Oh, wow.
Suck on that, everybody.
So where is LeBron? Because I just thought this year they were talking about how super high he was on the steals. That's why I went right to him.
No, so when the steals list I looked at, I don't remember exactly where he was at, but
I just figured it was a good bet.
Pippen
LeBron's
was
played
7.
forever.
That's true
I mean,
too.
Hasn't fallen off.
So
but
Ray scores.
Hell yeah.
All right. Who would like to go next?
LeBron is 14.
I will go.
no.
All right. Oh my gosh. Who are the only 2 players to win MVP awards in All-Star Game, regular season, and NBA Finals in the same season?
How
You
many?
said- You said there's 2 of them?
2.
All-Star games, what gets me.
Yeah, I know. Damn.
No one, I think.
I got my guesses.
Okay, yeah, this is.
You sound so thrilled, Wade.
Yeah, that's
I got
tougher
mine.
than I thought.
all right, I got to guess.
I don't remember who the hell the All-Star game
I
MVP.
got
Is
it.
that everybody?
Yeah.
I put Shaq and Magic.
I said Bird and MJ.
I said MJ and Kobe.
I said MJ and Kobe.
I said Kobe and Magic.
And I say Michael Jordan and Willis Reed.
Okay.
Willis Reed?
Oh,
Did they-
man.
Did they even have All-Star MVP then? Come on.
Apparently.
Wow.
I
That's
knew
what the
I
book
knew it was
says.
MJ, but I did not know the second.
I mean, MJ had.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
MJ
never
was
have
just
gotten
winning
there.
stuff right and left.
And he probably took the All-Star game more serious than everybody else. That was
He probably
He's probably
did.
yelling at his teammates. They're not even his real teammates.
You just want AI?
No,
Oh,
MJ.
AI plays the most minutes all time in All-Star games. He plays 28 minutes a game in
Well, it's
All-Star
because the
games.
coaches are scared to take him out. He's such an asshole.
Who's that leave to ask questions?
I think
Just me?
You and
Yeah.
I don't know if Shower's asking one.
No, Schaller said no.
Okay.
All right. So my question is, you have less options. No, I don't know. You have a lot of options. Way more options. In Allen Iverson's career, how many times did he dunk?
I've seen this on a TikTok.
I've seen it on a TikTok.
Interesting.
Even my fandom doesn't even know that.
I got it.
I got to guess, but yeah, I have no idea.
Who knows?
Is that everybody?
Yep.
Let's see him.
Said 11.
I said 10.
3.
6.
5.
The correct answer is 42.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Well, it was all in his first 3 years of his career because he didn't dunk after that. He's always hurt. He couldn't jump that high.
He had and I was watching a highlight package for him the other day, and he had a tip jam that was hella
Oh,
impressive.
it's the one in the red jersey.
Yeah.
And he comes out off on the side and
Yeah.
slams it. Yeah, that's like his only like really cool dunk. The rest of them are just like he barely gets it above the rim.
Oh, man. All right. So that wraps up the trivia portion of this week's episode. After this week, the scores are as follows. Ray with 18.
Hooray.
Doug and Drew with 36. Alex with 37. And Wade with 47.
All right.
Damn, Wade's kicking your ass.
Yes. Wade got his lead eaten into by a whole 1 point this week.
Yeah.
Went from 11 to 10. So still a very huge lead, but not insurmountable with like 40 episodes left. So
I don't know. With the rate we've been going the past couple episodes, it might take a while to get
It's like
10.
1 point throughout the whole episode.
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
we're running out of questions.
yeah, and the questions are getting harder.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Thanks for having me. I just
yes,
wanted to
we
throw that out
thanks
there.
for coming, Jared.
we
appreciate it.
appreciate Schaller showing up for the Allen Iverson episode. We have had preliminary talks about Schaller coming for another episode, but we will see. Well, I guarantee we'll see Schaller in the future, whether it's on this topic or another. But
I got a lot of opinions, so just let me know. I'll swing by.
Which episode?
we talked about the LeBron episode.
Yeah.
Oh, you'll be on me and Uncle Doug's team. There you go. Oh, wait, maybe Drew too.
Who's not? I know you'll be going against him.
I think
I'm
us three
I'm
have nine.
actually I'm for him, but if I had to rate like my all time, I actually put Kobe ahead of LeBron.
Ooh.
Oh wow.
That's
Well,
changed over the last few years.
So correct me if I-
Schaller, I have Pippen ahead of LeBron.
Pippins is number
Do-
8
do-
overall.
Can you define basketball?
Oh God.
Yeah, it has a big heart shape.
Yeah.
And LeBron don't have it.
Oh wow.
Oh, Jared definitely needs to be here for LeBron.
So
There you go.
Ray, where is LeBron overall on your list? Do you know?
I think it's 9.
9.
Let me look. It's 10.
Oh, 10.
So then Scotty's 9.
Yes.
Okay.
Then he's.
Uh,
Oh, go
I'm
ahead.
okay with maybe if you're putting LeBron at 10, but putting Scotty at 9. that's a ballsy move.
And I got big ones.
Well, that
It sounds like you don't have any at all.
Oh, yeah, we'll see you later.
Yeah, I think Schaller needs to come back for the LeBron episode, which will be much later because LeBron is top 10 on all of our lists. So.
Well, I'll kind of swing back through on another episode before that.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you for your listen this week's Allen Iverson episode. And please tune in next week for our episode on Dominique Wilkins, who is also left off the list by Wade. So it'll be everyone versus Wade again next week. And thanks for your listen. And thanks for listening to us on Sports the Nemo Way.